So even though Amazing Selling Machine is all about building and marketing your own brand of physical products and using Amazon to really sell them and launch that brand, to be able to really sell anything online or even offline, you need to know how to get buyers to take action. Good part of that comes from sales copy and copywriting, which is what we're going to talk about in this video, but specifically as it relates to selling your Amazon products, because these skills you're going to learn in this video, you're going to be able to apply to writing better product titles, to be able to write good product descriptions that make your buyers and people considering buying take action and buy your product instead of one of your competitors. So this is sales copy strategies and tactics to sell more of your product. So what is copywriting and why do you need to know it? The definition of copywriting is writing copy or text, same thing, just writing text, to advertise or market a product, service, business, person, opinion, or idea. You're basically just putting words on paper, and you can use those in video, you can use them on Amazon product descriptions, Amazon product titles. Later on, you'll be able to use them other places that we'll cover in Module 6. Either way, you're putting those words on there to get people to take action, to advertise or market your product. So written text is how your buyers will first experience you. They'll likely see your product in a list of other products. For example, if they search for a keyword on Amazon, they'll see your product, and because of your product title, which you'll learn in the product title video is almost like your headline, which we'll talk about in a few seconds, is like your headline. They'll click on your product because you have a better product title because you thought about copywriting. They click on your product, they read your product description, which is pretty much all sales copy, and they buy from you instead of somebody else. So you have a specific action you want them to take. Copywriting is how you get them to take it. Now, in most cases, especially with selling physical products, the specific action you want them to take is to buy your product. Now, later on, you'll be able to use this same skill set, copywriting, to be able to get them to take all kinds of other actions, whether that's writing a review for you or doing all kinds of other cool things that are going to help grow your Amazon business. So this is absolutely an invaluable resource for you. Now, this isn't going to cover every possible thing. Copywriting, there have been thousands of books written on it, thousands and thousands of articles, and there's lots of people that have spent their entire professional career learning and teaching copywriting. I've learned it just from reading tons and tons of books and doing it a million times myself, which is what I'm about to sort of relay to you. But you can look up all kinds of other resources if you want to dive into this topic further, but this will be enough to get you what you need to know to grow your Amazon business. So what you're going to learn right now, basics of copywriting, top strategies and tactics to sell more physical products. So copywriting basics. The objective of copywriting is to overcome buying resistance to get a person to take action. You're asking that buyer to take money out of their pockets and give it to you. So you have to overcome their resistance to doing that. It doesn't matter if you have the best product on the planet, you need to make people feel comfortable that they're making a good decision, and that's what copywriting is all about. So strategies and principles of copywriting have been tested over 100+ years on millions of products and millions of ads. This isn't just fluff. If it isn't stuff that's made up, it isn't stuff that's untested or is theory. What I'm about to teach you is stuff that has been tested over and over and over again, is really rooted in psychology. These principles work, I mean, hands down. So just apply what I'm about to teach you to writing your titles, your product descriptions, and later on a few other things, and your product will sell better. There's no doubt about it. So copywriting basics, universal motivations. Now, most people have these motivations and are why they buy products. One of these is the main reason why they're going to buy your products. Now, it may be a few of them, but it's good for you to think about which one of these applies most to your product, because that's going to help you craft your product title, product description, and everything else about your product. To be wealthy, to be popular, to be good looking, love, relationships, sex, all those desires, security, to have freedom or have free time, to be healthy, or to have fun. These are the main universal motivations, doesn't matter where people are in the world, and are the main reasons why people buy products. To fulfill one or more of these needs, or at least they think it's going to fulfill one or more of these motivations. So think about this right now. If you need to pause the video, go for it. which one of these applies most to your specific product and target buyer. Which motivation are people really focusing on when they're getting your product? It really depends on the type of product. So think about that right now. So copywriting basics, the core components. These are the things we're going to talk about in detail in the coming slides, and you're going to learn how to use each one of these to craft different aspects of your Amazon product selling campaign. So first off, the headline. Second, you want to describe the problem. Third, provide the solution. Fourth, present your credibility or your product brand's credibility. I'll teach you how to do that. Fifth, benefits then features. Sixth, social proof. Seventh, your offer. Eighth, guarantee. Ninth, scarcity, and 10th, your call to action. So core components, the first one, your headline. Your headline is what really grabs attention. Now in a traditional advertisement, whether that's in a newspaper or a magazine, this is the big headline that would make them want to read the rest of the ad. In the case of your Amazon business, it could be anything such as your product title, it could be a headline you put on your product description, or sometimes, not all the time, you may not be able to do this, but you may have words on your actual product label or product image that really strikes people's imagination and makes them really want to read what all your product is about, whether they're reading more of your description or they're reading the rest of your product label. So like I said, it could be your product title, your description, or even your label or potentially your Amazon product images. Now later on, when you're publishing articles or doing press releases or any of that sort of stuff, which we'll cover in Module 6, to promote your Amazon product, you'll also need good, solid headlines. And putting a good headline on any of these things, your product titles, description, or anything else, are going to help you get better results whenever people see that, because they're going to relate to that headline. Headline's going to catch their attention, and it's really going to make them want to keep reading and get convinced to buy your product. So really the best way to get an idea of good headlines, we could cover a million of them here, but really is just to search in Google for great advertising headlines. Now you may not want to use any of these verbatim. For example, in your product title, a lot of them won't make a lot of sense, but you can use different elements, and I'll teach you more about that in the product title video. Now in your description, you really could use just about any of those headlines at the very top of your description. So when people are reading that, they're like, oh wow, that really stood out, and they'll want to read the rest of your description rather than just kind of glancing over it. So good thing to keep in mind. You may want to do a Google search either right now or after this video for great advertising headlines. Kind of look through those, but we'll talk more about those in the product title and description videos. Second core component is you want to describe the problem. You want to immediately relate to your readers, meaning that they have a core problem they're wanting to solve, and you're presenting that to them in your product. For example, I've covered this example in this module for the iPhone 5 case. Maybe you don't have to have just one core problem, but maybe a core problem for the iPhone 5 case is they just spent $500 on a cell phone, and now they want to make sure that just because it slips out of their pocket getting out of the car, that they're all of a sudden not out $500. So it's protecting their investment. But then they also have another problem that they don't want just some big clunky ugly thing on their phone, that they still want to maintain all the design aspects and the sort of cool factor of the iPhone while they're protecting it at the same time. So you have a few different problems there that you want to immediately relate to them. So you want to really describe what it is that they're experiencing. You could even, for example, you don't have to go this far, but you could go as far as, do you want to just get out of your car and have your phone fall on the floor, all of a sudden it's shattered into pieces, you had an iPhone 5, seconds later you don't, and now you have to go back to the store, spend another $500? Well, if you don't want to experience that, get our case. That sort of story that you can really relate to them and include some emotions. That's some good stuff that you can put in there for really describing the problems that they have. Because once you do this, the readers are immediately going to be locked in and want to read the rest of what you have to say. So a way to research what the main problems are, honestly, if you're selling on Amazon, even if you're not selling on Amazon, but all of us are, is to read the reviews of your competitors. Because people have likely already said all the problems they're having with the product, whether it's the specific product or the need that it fulfills, they'll talk about all that stuff. A lot of it's real people. Obviously, there's some fake reviews on Amazon, but a lot of it's real people describing their needs, their problems, their solutions. It's a great source of information. So before you launch any product on Amazon, go check out the competitors and start reading their reviews to see what they have to say. And that'll be a great source of information for you to find out the real problems people are having that you can use when writing your description, potentially your product title, and really relating to your customers. So the third core component is to provide the solution. Here you're basically making your product claim. You've described your product. For example, in the iPhone 5 case example, you've described the problem of, potentially breaking your $500 phone because you didn't have a case on there. And now your product claim is that you can drop this phone from, 3 feet or whatever it is, and your phone will be perfectly fine. There's slips and mishaps happen with these kind of phones because they're, sort of slippery to begin with. But with your case on there, it's not going to mean a $500 investment lost. So this is where you're basically providing your solution, meaning you're talking about your product, you're telling them what your product does, and you're making your product claims, really what it's going to do for them. So you really want to state that your product will solve their problems. That's the whole point of having a product, because it solves some problem of the consumers. Now, obviously, you want to make sure you're not stating anything that's false, especially with anything that has been a typical source of, problems in the past in terms of advertising, such as, health products, specifically weight loss products, any of that kind of stuff. You want to make sure that you kind of stay away from stating any false claims or anything like that. I mean, just any product you sell, you want to make sure you stay away from those kind of things. But you still want to state that your product will solve their problems. It just depends how watered down that is, depending on the market you're in. We're not going to provide a full legal lesson here or anything like that. You can just look up advertising regulations for your specific product, and that'll give you more than enough information. If you really want to, you can always talk to an attorney, but you don't really necessarily need to. Obviously not legal advice. Just make sure you're playing it safe and you should be fine. So the fourth component is credibility. You want to establish the credibility of you, your business, or your brand, or potentially all three. You want to mention anything that you can that sets you apart. For example, you could mention something about the quality of your manufacturer. You don't even have to say it's your manufacturer. You just mention the quality of the manufacturing facility, such as it meets certain standards, or the products are shipped in bubble wrap packaging, or any of those kind of things that set your product apart, or the specific materials your products are made out of, or the quality of materials. Any of those kind of things that sort of establish your credibility are perfect, and you don't have to have years or decades or centuries of experience, like some massive brands do. You don't have to have any of that to really establish your product's credibility. So this is where you sort of want to mention any of that kind of stuff that you can. You really want to make your readers feel comfortable buying from you. Naturally, if they don't know who you are, there is some uncertainty when they're buying from you. That's the whole point of having big brand power. We'll teach you how to, establish your own brand and how to really market yourself so you appear more credible than anybody else when we get into Module 5 and Module 6. But for right now, you really want to include anything you can that establish you, your business, or your brand, or your product as a credible source for your consumers. So the fifth component, benefits, then features. State or list the main benefits to your customers. What can your product do for them? This is what you want to spell out for them so that they know exactly what they're going to get out of using your product. This is a core component of copywriting. You want to make sure that you're relating directly to them and stating what your product can do for them. And this has to come before you start spouting off features about your product. What size is it? Anything else related to your product, color, material, any of that kind of stuff. People will still want to know that. But you're really going to sell them on the benefits of what the product can do for them, but you still want to include the features after that. So that's where we're at in the copywriting process right now. So the core component number 6, social proof. Social proof is incredibly important for selling. If people have not bought your product before, they're not familiar with the brand, but all of a sudden they see, a whole bunch of people just like them that have bought your product, that have been satisfied with your product, that they can relate to, that all of a sudden takes a ton of risk out of it. So that's what you're trying to accomplish here. There's going to be a few ways you can. So your Amazon reviews will provide credibility, but you can also include social proof in your description and other places on Amazon. So you can include your social proof such as number of happy customers. For example, once you start getting up and running and selling hundreds and thousands, you could say we have thousands of happy customers. That's a great thing to put on there. It removes a lot of risk. It's just a simple thing you can plug in just about anywhere on your product, even in your product title. An awesome place to do that. You can include quotes from users or experts. Give the product away to a few of your friends, especially if you know somebody that's an expert in the field, and have them comment on your product, and you use that quote in your product description. Is really going to be the best place for you to use that. So these are great ways to add social proof, even though you may not have, a full-blown case study or anything like that with your product. You could still include social proof elements to reduce risk for your consumers. Core component number 7 is your offer. So here's where you list or tell them what they're going to get. And what they're going to get can include whatever price. If it's an Amazon product, they're obviously going to see the price on the page. I mean, that's one of the main things listed at the top. So you don't need to include that again in the product description, but it's something to keep in mind. So any bonuses or free gifts that they're going to get, the biggest thing is that you want to differentiate. You want to be different than your competitors. If you can include anything in your product that differentiates you from anybody else, that's going to set you so far apart on Amazon because so many people on Amazon are selling commoditized products. An example that I've given that, for example, if you're selling a yoga mat, if you were simply to put a business card inside of the yoga mat packaging that had a URL on it that went to somebody you hired on Craigslist, it went to some, set of 10 videos they recorded on how to do different yoga exercises, then all of a sudden that costs you almost nothing per unit because once you start selling it, even if you had to pay the person a couple $100 on Craigslist to do that, or maybe you know somebody that will do it for free, then per unit, it's not going to cost you anything. It's just a business card thrown in there. But on your Amazon product description, your product title, even in your product images, you can tell people that they get a video series included with their yoga mat. Nobody else is going to be doing that. That's the kind of things, it doesn't necessarily have to, obviously you don't have to do exactly that, but that's the kind of mindset you want to have when you want to think about differentiating yourself and making your offer. You want your offer to be unique and differentiated, which includes things such as bonuses, free gifts, anything that really can set your product apart. So core component number 8 is your guarantee. Remove all the risk from buying. Somebody that hasn't done business with you before, there's obviously a lot of uncertainty. They don't know who you are. Am I going to get ripped off? They're worrying about all this sort of stuff. You can remove all that risk by telling people there's a, no questions asked, money back guarantee. If you don't like your product, you can have everything back. I'm that confident. Statistically, even if you're selling a bad product, which is not what we recommend, statistically, the number of people who take you up on that offer is very, very small, especially when selling physical products, because they have to go return the product, any of that kind of stuff. So add a guarantee. You can add a lifetime guarantee, a 1-year guarantee, 10-year guarantee, 30-day guarantee, whatever it is you want, but you really want to give the strongest guarantee possible because a very few number of people will actually take you up on it. Now, if you ever find out that a lot of people are taking you up on it and you're not comfortable with that, you can reduce the guarantee. But start out with the strongest guarantee possible that's really going to make you a very hard-hitting offer and opportunity for consumers right out of the gate. Nobody else on Amazon is really doing this sort of thing, and it'll really set you and your product apart. So core component number 9 is scarcity. We've been trained to procrastinate, even when it's not in our best interest. So you need to tell people they can't wait, because people are very motivated by the fear of loss. They may love the benefits you've spelled out for them. They may love what your product can do. They may love the bonuses you've thrown in, but they're like, I'll do it later. That's what you want to prevent. You want people to take action the moment they see your product, and you can do that through scarcity. Examples of how to do this, you can say that there's a limited supply. You don't even necessarily have to lie. You could say there's a limited supply of the bonuses. Maybe you're going to swap the bonus out in 30 days and you're just telling people, this bonus isn't going to last forever. That's all you have to tell them. And the people will be like, oh crap, maybe I should get this today instead of waiting for, never. You can also do limited time pricing. You can do short-term pricing discounts. You can tell people that, if sales keep going like they are, I'm likely going to have to increase prices in the future, which is probably going to be true because once you get things up and running and going and humming, you're likely going to want to increase prices because you can make more money. Tell people that. Tell people prices are going up soon. You want to go ahead and buy now so you can get the lowest price. You want to make people want to take action. You can also do a limited time bonus. So core component number 10, the last one, is a call to action. You spelled out everything for your potential customer. Now, don't assume they know what to do. You've given them the benefits, you've given them an offer, you've given them a guarantee, you've given them a scarcity, all this sort of stuff. They're like, okay, cool, I'm ready to take action. Don't make them have to figure out what to do. Tell them exactly what to do right now. Tell them, go up to the top of this page on Amazon, click the orange button, buy the product right now. You want to tell them that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be that exactly, but that's what you want to do. You don't want to assume that they know what to do. You want to tell them what they need to do and when they need to do it, which is typically you're just going to include right now. Also, a good trick here is to assume the sale. Don't say, please go buy, or, if you go buy, or any of that sort of stuff. Assume the sale. Include something like, when you click the buy button, you're going to get this product delivered to you in X number of days. Or when you click the buy button and you get this product delivered to your house and it's nice packaging, you're going to be able to open up the packaging and, access the bonus videos, etc., etc. That's the kind of stuff you want to include. All I'm saying here is that you want to assume the sale has already happened, because this will help the consumer sort of reduce any uncertainty in their own head and make them be like, okay, they're assuming the sale, so probably I should too. Let me just go ahead and do what they say and go click the buy button and go ahead and order this thing. It may sound a little funny, but I mean, this stuff works. So make sure you may want to review this video a few times. There's 10 steps here. Make sure you want to learn all 10 of these steps. We'll talk more about how to implement each one in the following videos on product titles, product descriptions, and especially once we get into modules 5 and 6. But this is some core skills you need to develop. If you want to go further with this, you can always look up more copywriting information, that sort of thing, but this is enough to get you started right now.